beautiful. So, welcome everybody, and thank you so much. But even more, thank you, Gamma Ray, for being here. Really thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, guys, for having me. Forward to it.
So, for those that are new or maybe joining from the public Discord stage discovery, would you give a TLDR on the Raydium project? What exactly you're doing?
Yeah. So, Raydium, you guys may have heard about it. We are an on-chain order book AMM built on Solana, of course. And one of the key differentiators here between other AMM platforms is that we leverage the liquidity in our AMM pools. And what we do is we basically decompose that liquidity and then we place limit orders onto the Serum order book. So unlike a lot of other AMMs where liquidity kind of gets locked off and siloed within those LPs, we actually share that liquidity out into the ecosystem, right? So we actually create markets on Serum, and anybody trading on Serum or any Serum GUI that matter can actually trade, and will probably trade against Raydium orders. And at the moment, we're basically the largest market maker on Serum. But of course, if you want to swap, you can swap within our pools. You can provide liquidity. We have a number of features for earning yield and taking part in new Solana launches and IDOs. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So the Solana DeFi ecosystem owes you quite a lot for where we are at the moment. So yeah.
Well, we owe the ecosystem a lot too. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. But tell us a bit of the journey. How did you when did the crypto involvement start, and how did you end up in Solana, and how did the Raydium concept come into place? When did you start working on it? A little bit of a background.
Yeah, sure. So the team here, a lot of the team are quant traders, market makers, and the team does a lot of market making on some of the top exchanges, most of the top exchanges, right? So a pretty heavy background in that and an understanding of what it takes to build a market. So basically the team about a year ago, right, during kind of like the summer of DeFi, we were playing around with a lot of different DeFi protocols. You know, Sushi came out. We were like super excited about that. That was really cool. Compound and CRV and all these different things, and we were playing around with those. And this idea of like a decentralized exchange is just a really cool concept, right? So as traders, having someplace you can go connect your wallet to and just make those trades outside of a centralized exchange is an awesome concept. But one thing that's missing as kind of, you know, as a team of traders is an order book, right? So you're missing an order book, and if you're talking about Uniswap or something like that, you're just making one swap in the pool. You know, whenever you're at the computer, you can't set limit orders, and the liquidity within the pools of other platforms is siloed off. So somebody on Uniswap can't access the liquidity on Sushi, something like this, right? And we were in contact with the team at Serum, Solana, and when Serum came out, we really saw like a huge opportunity. You know, they had built this order book on top of Solana. It was fast, it was cheap. You know, last summer we were looking at ETH fees on Uniswap, you know, anywhere from $50, $100, something like this, and we saw like a huge opportunity, really. Build an AMM on Solana that shares the liquidity from the pools on Serum. You can set limit orders, you can take control of your trading, but you can also do you know, the simple swapping on the platform as well. So that's kind of like where the idea came from. Team started building it out, building the contracts for it that summer. You know, it took us several months to really get that to a point where we were confident and that we thought that it was, you know, ready to go. And then we went ahead and launched it at the beginning of this year, and it's been a pretty crazy journey so far. So yeah.
Wow, yeah. Did you expect this explosion to happen in the Solana ecosystem in DeFi? Did you expect you guys to be the enablers, at least for so many projects and so many such deep order books in Solana?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're building something like that, you don't really know what to expect, right? So I can't say that we expected it. We definitely did not expect it. But we knew that it was something that we were kind of like passionate about as a team. Like, we love the idea of DeFi. We love the idea of decentralized exchanges and AMMs and people being able to provide the liquidity. But we wanted a way for that liquidity to be leveraged on an order book and really like open that up for the ecosystem and to share that liquidity so that it's not just only tradable within the pools, right? But to be honest, also like the Solana ecosystem, it took a little while to get up and running, right? Like, so when we first started working on this, there wasn't really a whole lot in terms of Solana as an ecosystem. There were a lot of teams building, but it definitely took some time, and that's one place that we really kind of directed our focus. When we first got started, there were a lot of projects that were wanting to launch, and there were some launch pads that were kind of out there and had roadmaps to get up and running, but they kind of got slowed down, delayed, and we kind of realized that if we're going to make this work, not only do we have to build this platform, but we really have to help these projects get off the ground. That's kind of like how Accelerator got started. Well, that's exactly how Accelerator got started. But yeah, we realized that we had to really focus on pushing the entire ecosystem and not just focus on Raydium, but like really helping all the projects, the entire ecosystem, and build out everything, and help everybody to work together to kind of pick up Solana and get everything going.
So you drew inspiration from the Ethereum DeFi, and then you leveraged on the advantages that Solana offers, and you made Raydium.
Yeah, that's kind of how it went.
And if you had to put like a project from Ethereum that would compare a little bit to Raydium, if you said what inspired you, if you had to look at one project in Ethereum, which one is that resembles Raydium? Of course, it can't be like Raydium because of the siloed liquidity, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, I
think comparable.
I think we have to. I think we have to think about Sushi in this case, right? So I mean, they really got everything started with quickly capturing liquidity and kind of kicking off the whole yield farming and emissions strategy and model. And I mean, we all know what happened after that, right? It was enormously successful, and this is something that a lot of projects, like how many projects now have kind of used this model to really get up and started. But to be honest, like for now, this is the model that's kind of working to get liquidity onto a platform. You can't operate as an AMM if you don't have liquidity for users to come and trade, and it works. It's straightforward, but it works. So I think, yeah, for sure, you have to say that the inspiration came from there.
Beautiful, beautiful. And is there any competition in Solana for Raydium at the moment? Who do you see? Who do you view as competitors?
Yeah. I mean, you can think about competition a couple ways, I guess. I mean, there are other dexes on Solana. I mean, I happily mention Orca. Like, they've got a great product. The UI is clean. They have a good amount of liquidity. There's some other competitors or other dexes trying to do something similar. We've seen a couple projects coming up that say they'll potentially also share liquidity with Serum. Like at the moment, do we see them as like hardcore competitors? Like, I think in general, when we're looking at DeFi, like, there's just so many users out there still that we can still bring into DeFi, right?
Yeah,
so there's a lot of people out there that have maybe bought a little bit of Bitcoin, bought a little bit of Ethereum, but then there's a whole number of users that haven't even touched on any of these things. And I think it's kind of more about helping each other and like looking out and really building the pie, like growing the pie for everybody in DeFi right now is much more advantageous than nitpicking about like your small competitors.
I
And
definitely
focusing
agree.
just on making your platform better. Like, how can you bring in more users? How can you bring more people to DeFi in general? Everybody's going to grow. There's so much room to grow. Now, of course, having somebody who's in a similar space than you, it pushes you to work harder, to push faster, to build faster, to come up with new features that maybe you would have taken more time to develop otherwise. But I mean, competition is a good thing. Like only like users and DeFi in general wins the more competition there is. So like we see the competitors coming, but I think it makes Raydium better. Like from what we've seen other decentralized exchanges doing, that gives us ideas, and it just makes us strive to make Raydium a better product for our users. And I think the whole space grows as a result.
Uh, of course, you have some competition out there, but you guys clearly have emerged victorious. Do you think that you're doing something better than the others, or the first mover advantage has
Yeah.
helped more than? What do you think?
Okay. Well, I think one, it's a little bit early to claim victory, but we have seen a good deal of success, and like we feel extremely fortunate to have achieved what we have. But it came with a lot of hard work, and like you mentioned the first mover, right? I mean that's huge. It is really big, right? So we had the inspiration with Serum, sharing liquidity, and then we knew that Solana was just a fantastic blockchain to be building on with speed and the low fees, right? So we saw a huge opportunity of just being the first AMM, the first DEX on Solana. So that gave us a massive advantage. And we built out the product for several months, so we had a head start, and then we still pushed and actually ended up launching like a couple weeks before we were even intending to, right? So I think that is huge, but like just building fast, and even after we launched, just trying to push out features just as quickly as we can to where we're confident in the platform, and where we think that we met a good balance of like speed and quality. But speed in the beginning was huge for us, for sure.
There are a couple of protocols now that they're claiming that they will be offering permissionless pools like you guys are offering, which is a huge thing, but they're going one step further and are going to offer permissionless farms. One of those projects is Grape Finance. Any opinions on this tactic? What do you think is going to be the effect of having permissionless farms?
Well, whatever happens, it's going to be interesting. We've thought about this a good deal ourselves, and we've had we've had a number of chats about exactly this, right? Permissionless farms, and I think you kind of have to think about it as finding a balance. At least for us right now, what we wanted to do, as we're continuing. We still basically have just started, but we are 6 months in, and but I think it's really important to lay like a very, very good base of trust, and just have projects or just very solid projects. Everybody reads about rug, they read about people losing money on these things, and I think the important things for us was just make sure these things
you're breaking up a little
initially
bit.
for sure, never, but
Yeah,
just spent really
we can't hear
that we
you very
launched,
well. It's very choppy.
making sure that they have good products, that there's utility in the token, that they have a good roadmap moving forward, and that they're just hardworking, like good projects, right? So if you bring that over to permissionless pools, like for sure, there are definitely hardworking projects out there that are totally trustworthy, that are just smaller projects and would definitely benefit from something like permissionless farms. Like no doubt, like we don't have enough hours in the day to sift through every project that wants to launch. And in the future we expect that there'll be more, right? So permissionless pools for sure or permissionless farms and permissionless pools, it opens up the ecosystem so that more people can get involved, more teams can build and get awareness from their project. So that's definitely a benefit. At the same time, like we're trying to strike a balance, right? Because I mean, if you do have permissionless farms, anybody can get liquidity for their token, and that opens up, some question marks for sure. So we're kind of playing around with this idea. We're definitely thinking about it. It's a possibility. And if other projects are working on this, we'll see what happens. That's about what I can say to this point.
Yeah, but
We're
please,
definitely
please
thinking about it.
make it
It's top of
mandatory, the
mind.
liquidity lock.
But yeah.
Yeah, but make the liquidity lock mandatory for sure, please. If you ever launch permissionless farms. So you would say that the absence of permissionless farms has contributed in not having as many rug pulls in Solana, as many as we've seen in Polygon and on Binance chain.
I mean, I think that is one of the reasons. I think another reason is just because right now the Solana community, there's a lot of teams working very, very hard to build in Rust. You can't just fork some Solidity code and bring it over to Solana and then just launch a rug pull project. Now, the more people that build and the more contracts that are out there, this will offer more opportunity, and you can never say that something's going to happen or that it's not going to happen. This is, after all, the crypto space that we're in. But I think we just keep these things very, very top of mind. Like, we want to offer all the good projects an opportunity, but at the same time, we also have to really keep in mind our users. We don't want somebody coming onto Solana and getting a rug pull on the first swap or the first fusion pool or farm that they get involved in. That doesn't benefit Solana, it doesn't benefit anything, right? And what we're really trying to do is build ecosystems. I think like maintaining trust and just a general feeling that this is a platform that we vetted the projects like ourselves, like the Raydium team was over all the projects we work with. I think that's kind of like top of mind and how we kind of view things. But yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. But do you have any comments about the recent first drag? In my opinion, that's the first drag, the Luna yield. With that token Luni, I'm pretty sure they got away with plenty of Raydium tokens.
They got with a good number of tokens, right? So yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into the specifics of this, but yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I think you can never say that these things aren't going to happen. All you can really do is try to vet the projects that you're working with and try to make sure that teams know what they're talking about, that they're building something that you think is of value. Have a couple calls, see who they're working with. Do other people think that this is a solid project? That's what you can do, and you can basically just try to keep users safe from that point of view.
I mean, you're an expert and you have an expert team. Did the Luna yield seem a little bit outrageous and ridiculous on your side, and it was too good to be true in any way with all these promising bridges to Polygon and BSC? Should we like should people be more I don't know cautious on these kind of claims, like or you guys as well? Yeah, you said that could be totally possible.
Yeah, I mean, you should always be cautious of all new projects. I mean, I can't say too much in terms of like specifically Luna yield and what exactly their so-called offering was, but no, you just kind of take a look at the projects. You see who they're working with. Do they have partners that are also trusted in the space? Are they working alongside other teams? Can you get to know after a couple phone calls with the teams, do you know kind of what they're trying to do? Do they have a reasonable roadmap? Yeah, I mean, not going to go into too much more detail
Totally.
about
Let's go to
specifically,
to
but
the
yeah.
accelerator part of my
Yeah.
questions. Uh,
Yeah.
you guys have been champions in the liquidity, as we said, but your accelerator is also the most prestigious in Solana. What's different when it comes to the accelerator?
Yeah. So I think I mentioned briefly before, basically the way that Accelerator came about was, when we first launched, as I mentioned, there wasn't a ton of projects that were ready to go on Solana. There were a lot of teams building a lot of cool projects, but teams were looking for places to launch, right? They were looking for launch pads. They were looking for ways to IDO. And there were a couple launch pads out there, but, there were delays, as there always are in this space. And, if there aren't good projects to trade, there aren't good projects to provide liquidity for, then Raydium isn't going to succeed either, right? So, like I said, like basically we decided we needed to just go for it and focus on building this ecosystem first, right? And as much effort that we could and resources that we could put into doing that, we would do that, right? So we made the decision like, okay, these projects need to launch. They don't have anywhere else to do it. Like, we need to build it. So that's what we did with Accelerator, right? So essentially, and even a lot of other launch pads, right? So they'll help projects to raise. They'll do a fixed price pool, and they'll help the projects raise. But then that's kind of like the end of the services for a lot of these launch pads, right? But we just were thinking like, how can we launch them, help them raise funds, and then instantly have liquidity so that they're tradable, like on Raydium, and then as well as on Serum, right? So that anybody on Serum can trade that, and they automatically have a market, and anybody in the ecosystem can really get in, right? So that's kind of like the process. Accelerator is like a three-step process, right? It's the raise for the pools, then it's an IDO, with the start of trading on Raydium, which also shares to Serum. And then we also have fusion pools, right? Where projects are able to bootstrap their liquidity, create awareness for the token, create excitement for the token, and then have their users actually contribute liquidity to the pools, so that it's easier to trade, and those markets and those orders on the Serum order book are more robust, right? So that's kind of like the process that we laid out, and it's it's working really well. And like projects need these services, right? Like they need a way to raise funds, they need a way to get the token out there and create some excitement. So we're just like excited to work with all the projects that want to get launched on Accelerator, and want to make a splash. Yeah.
Yeah, so the key difference between you guys and your success also on the launchpad side of your platform is because you're offering those fusion pools, this instant liquidity in the newly launched market.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a number of launch pads, like I said, they help to raise funds, but then after that, like the project still has to go out. They have to find liquidity. They either have to bootstrap or contribute their own tokens to create a Uniswap pool or something to that extent. But yeah, like with Accelerator, you really have the fundraise, the IDO, and then bootstrapping liquidity from your early users, and then that rewards the early users all in one go, right? So we think it's a pretty awesome model from our mind. It basically delivers what projects really need and what users, early users and early supporters really want.
Yeah, indeed, and the market shows that this is what projects and users want. Do you attribute this on? You have like a big team. Is it? Why aren't other launchpads following in your steps to help the market creation on the IDO?
Yeah, I mean, seems for us it's like second nature, right? It's like, okay, you launch the token, but what do you really want? You want liquidity. You want people to be able to get their hands on the token, especially right after a launch when the awareness is high, users are excited, everybody wants to get their hands on it. Like, it seems like the logical next step, right? To put the raise and the IDO and the bootstrapping liquidity like hand in hand, right? So I don't know why so many other launch pads aren't doing it. I guess some launch pads don't have the AMM platform. Some AMM platforms don't have the launch pad, but there are some AMM platforms that do have a launch pad, right? I think again, one other advantage is that it does, again, it comes back to Serum as well, right? Like being able to, like Raydium is the biggest market maker on Serum. So we're able to, by getting liquidity into those pools, immediately create a market on Serum, right? So that's one advantage that we have that other platforms potentially don't. There are definitely AMM platforms that could use a similar model, and it might benefit them and their projects, and more power to them if they pick it up.
In your opinion, an IDO is a fundraising event or a marketing event? What do you think? From the projects you've
Yeah.
seen approaching this, are they more interested in the fundraising part or the distribution part and marketing event?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really project dependent. There are definitely projects that took in larger seed and private rounds, and they potentially don't need the additional funds as much, or it's just a smaller piece of the investment that they've had. But there are other projects that for sure maybe they, for one reason or another, they decided that they didn't want to take in so much VC funding, and they want more of the community involved, right? So I mean, it's both, right? So it's for sure it's a way to raise funds for many projects, but you can't deny that the awareness, the brand recognition that comes with making a big event out of an IDO, out of an accelerator launch, or a launch or an IDO anywhere, not just on Raydium. There's a lot to gain from that, right? Users hear about the token, people get in on it that may have not otherwise heard about it. So I think for sure, there's a definite advantage in terms of marketing and community building. And what we've seen is that one of the best ways to build your community is before the token actually launches, right? Like, and you guys are doing a great job of this over at Grape. Like we can talk about you guys. It doesn't all have to be about Radiant. We can talk about Grape
Thank
too.
you,
You
thank
guys are
you.
doing a great job. But like building the community before the token launch is just it's just a great strategy. Like get everybody involved that wants to be part of this. Recognize the people that are there from the start, that really see a future in the project, and you can really gain a lot of users and really grow the community before the token launches, right? And then that culminates with an IDO, with the raise, an accelerator launch, and then everybody's excited. That drives more awareness, and it kind of builds. It snowballs, right? So it's really important. All aspects, marketing for sure, and brand awareness for sure. But of course, there are for sure projects there that it never hurts in this space to have funding, to help you achieve your roadmap, right?
Definitely. Totally agree that it's both a marketing event, major marketing event, but also a fundraising event. And thank you so much for the good words. We put community first, and we are an example of a tokenized community. So it's important for us to reward the people that brought us where we are.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Um, May I shift a little bit the conversation on the Ray token? And I would like to know a little bit more on the future of the Ray token. Like, I understand that Solana at the moment is lacking a little bit on the governance side. I've heard your previous AMAs and the previous interviews. So, like, would you look in the future though if Solana starts to support this kind of governance initiatives?
Yeah, so I mean, we've been thinking about governance a lot, right? And we do, one of the key things that we wanted to do when we started this project is, give the community a voice, give our users a voice. The key people that are using the product every day, using the platform, and the holders of Ray, really, right? Give them a voice and let them be heard and incorporate their thinking into how we move forward. So this is like absolutely something that we think about, and we're currently like working on a solution for it. It's also true that on Solana, there's not an easy solution at the moment. So, I mean, on Ethereum, you have Snapshot, right? Which a lot of projects have leveraged pretty successfully. And there's not an easy cut and paste solution at the moment on Solana. So, I mean, we're also thinking about, we might have to build this out ourselves. And Solana is also working on this, so we're frequently in contact with the teams and seeing what the options are. But I mean, it's definitely something in our roadmap, and that we're trying to figure out exactly how to execute on it. Another way that we think about it as well is it also poses a difficult problem in that you have either very large holders of a token, or if it's just, if the platform is just, you can come with your tokens and then you can vote immediately. Like you could have purchased those tokens 20 minutes ago, and then you can vote on a proposal and kind of steal the vote, or throw your weight around if there's a big whale that really wants something done, right? So this is also something that we think about this, or that we're thinking about, and how can we kind of take that into account, and how can we kind of dampen the effect of something like that? Potentially, timed staking or including a timed element into this could potentially, make sure that the people that are really on board for the long term, that are long-term holders, have their voices heard, and not just somebody who comes in, scoops up a bunch of Ray, scoops it up, and then goes votes on a proposal and then gets rid of it, right? So it's not an easy problem to solve, but we're working on it. And if something doesn't pop up here, like we're kind of in the process of potentially building it out ourselves. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Amazing. This is. I love the ethos of like, yeah, we need it. If nobody builds it, we'll build it. Like this is why you guys are champions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's that's kind of what you have to do at this point. Like Solana's moving really quick, and there's a lot of teams coming in and building awesome things. But sometimes when something's got to get done, you just kind of have to shift some resources, delay some things over on the other side of the room, and just focus and build something out.
I had an awesome question during one of my streams, and people were asking me about what happens when the Ray emissions end. What changes? How will you incentivize maybe all this liquidity and all the like? What changes in the model?
Yeah. So this is always a bit of a tough one, right? So first of all, we've got an emission schedule right now it's about 3 years long, right? So, but from the very beginning, the objective is not to give emissions out forever, right? Tokens are a finite resource. And at least in Raydium's case, like Ray, we're not minting more Ray. So there will only ever be 555 million Ray maximum, right? So once those emissions are done, we'll need to figure out exactly what's going to happen then. But the objective has never been to give out emissions forever, right? So really the purpose of the platform is to drive trading. We want Raydium to be the leading trading AMM and DeFi platform on Solana, if not elsewhere, right? And when you have significant volume, you're also able to operate on fees. Like that's significant incentive for liquidity providers, right? I mean, Uniswap has been operating without emissions, right? So when you have significant volume, you have more leeway there. But at the same time, like our emission schedule is 3 years long, and it's only been 6 months. And how do you predict what's going to happen, what's going to be the next big thing in DeFi, in crypto, even 6 months out, a year out, right? So it's hard to kind of visualize exactly what Raydium is going to look like in 3 years, right? But I think one of our ethos is that given ourselves a good runway to get up and running, to gain users, to gain volume, to gain TVL, and now that we feel good about where we are, and we're going to have to, obviously make decisions down the road. But we're off to a good start, and we'll make those decisions a little bit further down the road. And I think that governance also plays into this, right? So exactly.
Yeah, totally agree. This is what I wanted to tie it with. Governance will play a role on this one.
Yeah, for sure. We'll bring governance in and see what the community thinks in terms of emissions and how to continue rewarding liquidity providers. And we have some to do it, but I think the key thing there is really getting a good head start, and building a foundation and going from there.
Is there any evolution that we'll see on the maybe a Raydium utility? You guys are creating all these pairs, all these Raydium pairs, and at some point maybe you can. I don't know if anybody has already proposed that. Maybe you could do what Bancor is doing with the native token BNT, where you can. You're already there. Have you ever heard this parallel? Have you ever seen how BNT token works?
Yep. We're aware of Bancor and what they're doing. At the moment, it's not like a perfect solution or something that we're looking to immediately, implement for Raydium. But routing between pools is coming. We're working on that right now at the moment. But another key difference here is that, again, Bancor is kind of, their liquidity as well is kind of siloed off, right? And then we are making markets, the liquidity pools are making markets on Serum. And a lot of projects and tokens, they also need USDC pairs, Sol pairs, Ray pairs, potentially, for the markets on Serum. So this is one reason why potentially it's a little bit difficult to route everything through Ray, right? But at the same time, one of the big reasons why we create Ray pools is, it adds utility for the token. We like people to be trading in Ray. It adds more trading volume. Another reason why what we did recently was, I don't know if you guys saw kind of our Solana Raydium pool party, where we teamed up with a bunch of the projects that we're working with, the Solana projects, and we launched a number of Ray pools. And to be honest, this was part of our strategy for being listed on Binance, where a ton of new Binance users, a lot of new retail users were buying Ray for the first time. We're buying their first SPL token, right? So they were moving over, potentially withdrawing to a Solana and SPL wallet for the first time. So we wanted to have Ray pools for them up and running, so that they could also get involved in a lot of the other Solana ecosystem projects that we work with. So that's one of the fun things that we did recently. But anyway, I hear your point. I think it is a cool model that Bancor is doing. It's a little bit tough for us right now in Ray. I think Bancor also is minting and burning BNT, right? So they can kind of keep an equilibrium in those pools. And it's not an easy model to pull off, but I mean, we're always thinking about new models and how to add utility for the token. But yeah.
I'll take you to another place now. NFTs are exploding. Anything that you're planning to do with your platform that will include NFTs, or all this gamification, all these different beyond DeFi? hypes that we are living at the moment?
Yeah. So, I mean, at Raydium here, we're big fans of NFTs, and the whole world that that's creating right now. We've all seen Axie Infinity kind of blow up and bring a ton of attention from people that were never in like crypto space before, new retail users coming in and bringing attention to the entire space. So we think it's really important, and we think there's a lot of opportunity there. But I guess like from our perspective, well, one is how do you interact with these new projects, and what approach do you want to take, right? So right now as Raydium, like what are our strengths, right? So we provide liquidity for projects. We allow awareness within the Solana ecosystem. We can direct users to new projects. These are really our strengths, and the protocol that, right? And to be honest, we have a lot on our plate, like just making sure that we're the best AMM and the best liquidity provider and market maker on Serum. So it's a lot already on our plate. Of course, we see the opportunity of NFTs and games like Axie, and we've got Star Atlas coming up. So I think these games still need liquidity, right? They still need what every crypto project and team needs, right? They need liquidity, they need to build users, build community. And I think that's kind of where Raydium, where our advantages, where our strengths are. And at the moment, if we kind of focus on that, right, I think this is a good place to start, and we'll kind of see what comes, what we can build from there. But at the moment, we don't have any immediate plans for building an NFT marketplace or something like this. But we have Star Atlas launching, and we recently launched Only One on Accelerator, which is a social NFT platform. So I think if we can get involved and help these projects within this space, this is kind of a great place to start. And then, who knows where we'll be in 6 months. We might shift focus and build something out. We'll see. But I think this is kind of where we get started.
Awesome. I totally respect that you want to focus on the priorities that you're already working and you're already excelling. Like, why would you shift in NFTs? So yeah, totally support that. Any special projects that you see at the moment being built on Solana? Any shout out that you would want to give to the builders out there? Any alpha that you would like to share with us, maybe?
Well, this is kind of a boring answer, but basically, like everybody who's using Raydium kind of knows the projects that we think are top quality projects and thinks that are high quality projects. Like the projects that we work with on Fusion Pools, those that we work on launching on Accelerator. These are all projects that we've had communication with the teams. We've talked to other teams. We've talked to Serum, Solana. These guys. What do we think about the projects that we're working with? And we really try to work with the highest quality projects that we come across. So again, like if you come across one of these names on Raydium, you can be sure that our entire team is pretty confident in the project and that we like what they're doing and we think that there's a lot of potential there. So yeah, and you guys, right? So I mean, I think we focused on a lot of projects for Accelerator so far that are, we had Soulrise, Synthetify, Only One, Mercurial, these are protocol level projects, and I think one place that we really wanted to highlight was kind of like the community, right? And I think the Grape that you guys are doing an awesome job. Really not, and there are several projects that do a great job at their own communities, right? At building their own communities. But Grape, you guys are like building your own community and the entire Solana ecosystem, which like, if you haven't heard me talk about it enough, like Raydium, we're also focused on like really building out the entire Solana ecosystem, right? So I think that projects like Grape that really can benefit everybody on Solana, and really drive users, drive awareness. These are good plays. I mean, it's going to bring a lot of value to everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for recognizing that because this is exactly our mission. We want to make the Solana family larger, and we want to make it safer and communities to be
Yeah.
valuable and manage to unlock this value. And we don't want to do it only for our community, but we really want to do it for everybody because there is value in everybody in everybody in any tokenized community, and we have the tools to unlock this value.
Yep. Rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Exactly. Perfectly said. Perfectly. Perfect. I see a couple of questions. I know we've gone a little bit longer than we should, but let's answer a few questions from the chat while we are talking all this time. Will we see anything with futures or derivatives coming into Raydium?
Yeah, so this is definitely something we've been thinking about as well. I think what I will say though is that there are a number of great teams that are now working on this, right? So, I mean, we've got Mango, Bonfita just launched some futures. Options are coming out, Psi options. There's Zeta coming out with options. Just releasing their Oracle, which is going to enable a lot of borrow lending. And I think Serum is lining up something as well to this regard. So again, like I think it comes back to here at Raydium, we kind of know what our key niche is for at least, let's say, again, everything changes very quickly in DeFi and in the space, right? But we're going to be focusing on the AMM, building out and making sure that the features that we have are top notch, gaining users for the entire ecosystem, helping those projects that are building these derivatives, borrow lending options, protocols, helping them really gain traction and build out and advising them to really make sure that some of them succeed. That's not to say that we won't potentially move into this area. Again, we're traders. Trading futures is something that I would personally love to do on Raydium. But in the immediate future, we don't have plans for that. But I think, again, it's really about helping the ecosystem kind of build those building blocks, those primitives, so that everybody can grow.
Awesome. Yes, I totally agree that the landscape changes too fast in order to commit on any yeses or nos. So, and I understand you guys are quants and you love markets. So obviously, if derivatives becomes 99% of volume in Solana, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get there. And last question, I said asked twice. How did you come up with the word with the name Raydium?
Okay. Let's see here. So we were putting together the brand, right? Because the team was just focusing on the contracts and building out the AMM and everything, and then everything kind of happened really quickly. We were talking with Serum team, Solana team, and they were talking about pushing our timeline forward significantly. So we kind of pulled together the branding in a couple of days. But yeah, I was sitting down and noting out different names, and there were a bunch of things on the list. But I came across a Raydium as an element, a radioactive element. It's number 88 on the periodic table. And I kind of thought, like, okay, you have this element, it's radiating into the ecosystem, right? So if Raydium was our name, and if our goal is kind of radiate liquidity and share that with the rest of the ecosystem, that would be kind of a fitting name for what we do, right? We're not just we're not just a chunk of land on the desk, right? We're actually like radiating out liquidity into the ecosystem, and it goes beyond us. And I thought it was kind of a cool name, and that's
Definitely a
pretty much
super
it.
cool
We
name.
settled on that.
And you guys started, I think, a domino effect. Now we have Francium is atomic number 87, and I'm pretty
All
sure
right, yeah.
we're gonna see a bunch of those going. We're gonna have the whole periodic table, I think, and you're gonna
I
be
know
responsible for that.
Yeah, and the one other thing that was also kind of locked it in was that when we checked on CoinGecko, Ray was still available, so that was big as well.
Nice, nice, nice. So some tips on how projects pick their names. You're gonna have to check the tickers, guys.
Gotta check the tickers.
Anything else? Anything else you would love to share with the world? We have over 150 people listening to us, over 100 on the Discord stage, and about over 50 on the various streaming platforms. Anything you would love to share before we close it?
I would just say, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. It's been fun. I'd also say, obviously, Grape is coming up and launching on Accelerator, but I would assume that most of you are aware of that already. But definitely check that out. And you know, maybe many of you have used Raydium, maybe some of you haven't, but feel free to drop by our Discord. We go through there, we hang out. Let us know what you like about the platform. Let us know what you don't like. Let us know suggestions you have, and get involved. And yeah, we hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Keep up the great work, and you guys are already winners. I'm pretty sure you know the recipe by now. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've been doing for the Solana space.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being part of it.